Last week, due to perceived censorship on the platform, Instagram came out and published a list of 25 things that you could be doing on Instagram that is limiting the reach of your content and will stop you from ranking on the explore pages and other features inside of Instagram. I talked about a few of these in my recent update video and said if you wanted to see me go over all 25 of these in a video to let me know in the comments, and you guys definitely did. I had a ton of comments come in from you saying that you wanted to see me go over it, so that is exactly what I'm going to do in today's video. Today, I'll be going through the 25 things that you could be doing that is stopping you from ranking on the explore page and limiting your content's reach. This should hopefully help you grow faster on Instagram. And another thing you can do to grow faster on Instagram that I won't talk about in these 25 points is subscribing to the channel. I post 2 videos like this every single week talking about Instagram growth, social media tips, and making money online. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that entirely free, high quality content. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive into my screen and have a look at these 25 points. So firstly, Instagram state that we make recommendations to the people who use our services to help them discover new communities and content. Both Facebook and Instagram may recommend content, accounts, and entities that people do not already follow. Some examples of our recommendation experiences include Instagram Explore, accounts you may like, and Instagram TV Discover. Our goal is to make recommendations that are relevant and valuable to each person who sees them. We do this by personalizing recommendation, which means that making unique recommendations for each person. For example, if you interact with restaurants and bookstores on Instagram, we may recommend content about food, recipes, books, or reading. So straight off the bat, that's exactly what I'm talking about, is content that is going to get recommended to you. So you can post content in these 25 categories and still get reach in your home feed and to people who already follow you, but that content is not going to get pushed to new people who don't follow you. And that's the only way you can grow on Instagram, is by getting pushed to people who don't already follow you, so they can obviously follow you if they enjoy what you post. Okay, let's dive into the 25 points, which have been broken up into 5 main categories. Firstly, we have content that impedes our ability to foster a safe community, such as content that discusses self-harm, suicide, or eating disorders. We remove content that encourages suicide or self-injury or any graphic imagery. So by the looks of that, it means that you are allowed to talk about self-harm, suicide, or so forth, as long as you're bringing awareness to it and trying to genuinely help people. If your content is promoting people do that, they will remove it, which is obviously, I believe, a very good thing. The second point is content that may depict violence, such as people fighting. It says we remove graphically violent content, which again makes a lot of sense. I mean, violence such as people fighting, if the followers want to see that, I guess they want to see it, but if it's graphic, then it's good that it gets taken off the platform. Third, they've got content that may be sexually explicit or suggestive, such as pictures of people in see-through clothing. We remove content that contains adult nudity or sexual activity, which again makes sense. I don't really have anything to add to that. The fourth one is content that promotes the use of certain regulated products, such as tobacco or vaping products, adult products and services, or pharmaceutical drugs. We remove content that attempts to sell or trade most regulated goods. Now, this is an interesting one. I think it's good that they're not pushing regulated goods such as alcohol, tobacco, etc. I think they already get enough promotion and everyone knows about it. The interesting thing is that they remove content attempting to sell it. So if I click through onto the highlighted piece about this, it says, and this is directly from Facebook's account, is to encourage safety and compliance with common legal restrictions, we prohibit attempts by individuals, manufacturers, and retailers to purchase, sell, or trade non-medical drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, and marijuana. We also prohibit the purchase, sale, gifting, exchange, and transfer of firearms, including firearm parts or ammunition, between private individuals on Facebook. Which means that if you are trying to sell any of these things, your content can get removed and your account may well get banned. So if you're trying to sell any of those things, you might want to think about your marketing strategy pretty long and hard, and I would say talk to someone who has sold that sort of stuff through social media or who is in that industry and can help give you some advice, because honestly, I'm not an expert on the marketing of marijuana or pharmaceutical drugs on social media. It's not my thing. But moving on to the fifth one, they said content shared by any non-recommendable account. And at the end of the article, they state what non-recommendable accounts are, and I'll go through that at the end of this video. Moving on to category number 2, it is sensitive or low quality content about health or finance, such as content that promotes or depicts cosmetic procedures, content containing exaggerated health claims, such as miracle cures, content attempting to sell products or services based on health-related claims, such as promoting a supplement to help a person lose weight, and content that promotes misleading or deceptive business models, such as payday loans or risk-free investments. So that was 4 different points at once. And I talked about this in the original video. I think this is good and bad. I think it's good that they're getting rid of the likes of risk-free investments, because most people who've got a good understanding of financial intelligence know that there is really no such thing as risk-free investing. I mentioned this, I know, in the last video, but when it comes to weight loss, I think this is going to be a bit of a blow to people who are teaching genuinely good quality methods for losing weight and are promoting healthy diets, healthy lifestyles, etc. Although at the same time, it's good if they're getting rid of content that is promoting bad ways of losing weight or products that aren't actually going to help you lose weight in the long run, that might just help you in the short run and then push your progress even further back in the long run. So I guess it's good and bad. You're going to lose some good quality content that could get pushed, but you'll also lose some absolute crap content. Moving on to the third category, we've got content that users broadly tell us they dislike, such as content that includes clickbait, content that includes engagement bait, and content that promotes a contest or giveaway. Once again, remember, these are pieces of content that will be shown to your followers, but not pushed on the explore page. And so clickbait, engagement bait, and giveaways will not be pushed as they were the same in the past, which I think is good. When they talk about clickbait, I'm not really too sure what they're talking about on Instagram, considering you don't usually have like a lot of clickbait like you might see on YouTube or so forth, but I guess only time will tell. Engagement bait, that may mean they're going to limit the reach of posts that are using things like double tap for this or comment this, which could be interesting, because I know personally I've used that a lot in the past. I've told people to do that in the past because it's been a really good way to build a discussion in the comments with your audience. And maybe that's what they mean by engagement bait. Maybe I'm wrong. They might be talking about something else, but yeah, that's going to be interesting, and I guess only time's going to tell. And then the third one is content that promotes a contest or giveaway. And when I mentioned this in the last video, I had a lot of comments of people like asking if their local business would still be able to do a giveaway. You will still be able to, based off what I'm reading here, you will still be able to do giveaways on your accounts on social media. You will still be able to do that just fine. They're not stopping people from doing that. They're not blocking or deleting these accounts. All that's happening is that content is not getting recommended. So if someone has to like, share, and tag 3 accounts, those 3 accounts that get tagged will still see the content, and when it's shared to their followers' stories and so forth, they will still see it, and these will still be a good way to grow your local business or something like that. The content just won't get pushed in the algorithm as much as it did in the past. That's just based from this. I know there are a lot of rules around giveaways and legalities around it, which I'm not an expert on, but would check that out. So moving on to the fourth category, we've got content that is associated with low quality publishing, such as unoriginal content that is largely repurposed from another source without adding material value. Now this means it could be tough for theme pages. Now I had a few people in the comment section speculating about this, and honestly it's hard to give you a definite answer of the direction of theme pages in the future. It may mean that a lot of theme pages will have to start creating content, such as, producing their own stuff, or adding value in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you take a piece of content that's already been posted and you make a great edit out of it, which turns it into your own content. I'm not really too sure on how this is going to pan out. This is only a brand new update, but this is just coming from what they've said. The next part in this section was content from websites that get a disproportionate number of clicks from Instagram versus other places on the web. And when you click across to the article, it doesn't really give a lot of clarity, but I assume this just is sort of talking about those clickbait sort of headline news agencies that are just pushing content that is just super bad, but is just trying to get a bunch of clicks to their website because social traffic makes up all of their traffic. Now, I'm just speculating here, but like, for example, if there was something about TikTok gossip, if there was like a TikTok gossip Instagram account that was just posting a bunch of clickbait and trying to drive people to their bio link to get them to a spammy website where they've got a bunch of articles which are just loaded to the brim with ads, and because it's a low quality site, they might not be getting a lot of traffic from Google or something like this, which shows it's not high quality, but they're driving a ton from Instagram because they're clickbaiting Addison Rae or Charlie D'Amelio or any of these stars. That seems like the type of content they're going to be slowing down on. Now, that's just a hypothetical example, but I think any sort of news publishing agency that's getting most of its traffic from Instagram would show that it's low quality because they're not getting traffic from YouTube or shares outside of the platform. But that's just sort of what I'm thinking. If you are in that position, look at getting into SEO and learning how to build quality links to your site so you're getting traffic from a whole range of places. Either way, you shouldn't be relying on traffic from one source if you're running a business. And third, they said news content that does not include transparent information about authorship or the publisher's editorial staff, which is again good thing. More clarity, the better that we can get on Instagram, social media, and in the news world is going to lead to less misinformation, which I think is the goal of this. And yeah, that's a good thing, but more clarity is always welcomed. And moving on to the fifth and final category of this list, before we get into the account recommendations, which you need to stay for, is three things. One is content including claims that have been found false by independent fact checkers or certain expert organizations. They said that we remove misinformation that could cause physical harm or suppress voting. So you can make crazy claims about crazy things, but it's only going to get shown to people who already like your content and follow you. If you're making ridiculous claims with no truth that has been disproven, it will not get pushed in the algorithm. If this content could cause physical harm to people, suggesting silly things or suppressing someone's ability to vote or will to vote, then it will get removed. So just stay away from that. Obviously, I think this is a pretty obvious one. Don't post absolute bullshit on Instagram that has got no truth behind it. The second one is a vaccine-related misinformation. So this is basically just point number one, but specifically talking about vaccines. Basically any information that has been widely debunked by leading global health organizations won't get pushed, but I guess you can still post it. But all of these things on this list, by the way, they might say that they will still show them to your followers, and they might say that it's not going to hurt your account. It's just going to not let that specific piece of content rank on the explore page. I would say if you're posting anything that falls into any of these categories, then your account in general is going to get labeled as something not to be pushed. So even if you post like 3 different pieces of content that fits into one of these categories of content they're not going to push, and then you just go back to posting normal content, I don't think you'll get the same reach. So I would just, even though technically they say that it's okay to post this, it'll just go to your followers, I would avoid it. And then third, content that promotes the use of fraudulent documents, such as someone sharing a post about using a fake ID. We remove content attempting to sell fraudulent documents like medical prescriptions. But if you're just posting about using fraudulent documents, Instagram won't remove it. They're just going to limit its reach. And again, if you click across, it says in an effort to prevent and disrupt harmful or fraudulent activity, we remove content aimed at deliberately deceiving people to gain an unfair advantage or deprive another of money, property, or legal right. However, we allow people to raise awareness and educate others, as well as condemn these activities using our platforms. And if I go across to their do not post tab, they say do not post content that engages in, promotes, encourages, facilitates, or admits to the following activities: offering, solicitation, or trade of goods or property purchased with stolen financial information, future exam papers or answer sheets where answers are not meant to be widely shared, educational and professional certificates, credentials for paid subscription services, fake user reviews, fake or manipulated documents, coupons, medical prescriptions, etc., fake or counterfeit currency, The list goes on and on and on. Bribery, embezzlement, money laundering, charity scams, debt relief, credit scams, recruiting of workforce for the purpose of fraudulent activities. There's a whole range of lists there which you can go into through the blog post if you want to see it. Moving on to the last category, we've got 7 things that could affect your account's recommendations in general. So this is not specific to your one post that you're posting that is going to restrict that post reach. This is about your account in general. And if you remember on the first section, they said they will be restricting content shared by non-recommendable accounts. Here is 7 things that fall into non-recommendable. Oh, bugger, my battery's about to die. Hold up, I'll be back with you soon. So it's a couple hours later, the camera's charged back up, and we are ready to dive back into this update. Under account recommendations, they say we also try not to recommend accounts that 1. Recently violated Instagram's community guidelines. This does not include accounts that we otherwise remove from our platforms for violating Instagram's community guidelines. Now, this kind of seems pretty obvious. If you're violating the guidelines, Instagram are not going to favor you in the algorithm and push your content to new people. That just makes sense. Maybe I have just had a brain moment and not been thinking straight, but the brackets on that doesn't seem to make sense. This does not include accounts that we otherwise remove from our platform for violating. I figured if your account gets removed, it can't get featured on the Explore page, but maybe I've just missed something obvious there. Doesn't seem to make any sense. I mean, like, logically, yes, but I figured that didn't need to be stated, but maybe I've missed something there. The second point is repeatedly and or recently shared content that we try not to recommend. So if you're sharing content to your story that Instagram have deemed like one of the 20 or so points that I've just listed off, if you're sharing content that is containing some of that information, such as graphic violence or any of the things, misinformation, etc., then the reach of your account is going to be limited. So if you've been sharing conspiracy theories or anything that I've been talking about there, massively clickbait, these competitions, etc., then you could be in trouble, or not in trouble, but you're just going to get less reach. Now, this is interesting because a lot of the time, competitions, people to enter have to share to their story. That's often the thing. Follow the account, share to your story, tag 3 friends is the most common 3 steps to enter a competition. And a competition is something that isn't going to get pushed on the Explore page, which means that if people are sharing competitions to their story, their reach is going to go down, which that could be interesting. That's going to change a lot. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Now, obviously, with a lot of this stuff, it's not really going to affect personal accounts or like people that have just got an account with their friends and family. So they can enter competitions fine. But if you're a public figure, you're probably going to want to be careful sharing competitions to your story, or if you're trying to build a theme page, which is pretty big. That's quite a big change. Now, number 3 is repeatedly posting vaccine-related misinformation that has been widely debunked by leading global health organizations. They're jamming that one down our throat. They obviously really want us to know about that. So yeah, stick away from anything vaccine-related. Number 4 is repeatedly engage in misleading practices to build followings, such as purchasing likes. Don't buy likes. Get out of engagement groups. Focus on building a genuine community who want to like your content because the content is great and they want to engage with it, rather than posting average content and using fake stuff to inflate it. Just focus on quality content and building a legitimate audience, like I teach in all of my videos, so check that out. So the 5th account recommendation of things which they do not recommend accounts that fall into this category is accounts that have recently been banned from running ads on the platform, which makes a lot of sense. If an account didn't meet their advertising requirements and was therefore banned, it makes sense that they're restricting the reach of the Instagram, as they don't want it getting organically pushed if they're not willing to even accept money to promote that content. Which, yeah, I mean, fair enough to Instagram. This is something that I definitely have probably made the mistake of myself. I've had a few Instagram ad accounts, or Facebook ad accounts, should I say, banned, and did not detach them from my Instagram account. So that is probably something that I'm going to go do right now myself after I finish filming this video for you guys. And the second to last and sixth thing that they say under account recommendations that they'll ban is accounts that have recently and repeatedly posted false information as determined by independent third-party fact checkers or certain expert organizations, which again is pretty much the same point they've been saying throughout a lot of these recent updates. They're going to be restricting the reach of accounts that are posting misleading information that has been proven otherwise. And I mean, that's fair enough. Hopefully they just get a good sound board of experts rather than a group of experts who have some sort of alignment with one side of the argument, as in some industries there can be multiple correct things, but one side might say that theirs is the only correct one, whilst the other says that theirs is the only correct one. Hopefully we get a nice rounded board of experts for each industry, which you would expect from Instagram. And the final point of accounts that they try not to recommend are accounts that are associated with offline movements or organizations that are tied to violence. So if you're part of any gangs or any sort of group that does organized violence or organized crime, your account will probably be banned, and rightfully so. Sorry, your account will not be banned, but you will not get the same reach you would if you weren't in a violent organization, which again is fair enough. Instagram then wrapped up the article by saying a similar set of these guidelines applies to recommendations on Facebook, which can be found in the Facebook Help Center. So that wraps up the 25 things that you could be doing that is restricting your reach on Instagram. And whilst Instagram only admit that this restricts the reach of your explore and hashtags and for you recommendation pages, etc., it wouldn't surprise me if these things are also affecting your home reach if you're noticing less likes and engagement recently, even though, as I say, Instagram says this only affects the recommendations, but they've been known to in the past not always admit to things, so it could also be affecting your home reach. They haven't said that it doesn't affect home reach. But what do you guys think of these updates and these guidelines that they've put out? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? What ones do you agree with? What ones don't you agree with? Let me know in the comments and let's all have a discussion. But as always, if you're having a discussion with people in the comments, be respectful, be polite, understand that other people have got other experiences throughout their life that are leading to them having that opinion. So just, be kind, be generous. If this is the first time you're seeing me, make sure you subscribe to the channel, or if you've seen me multiple times but you still haven't subscribed, 2 videos like this every single week. Instagram, I'm making a ton of updates and changes, and I'll be making videos every time they publish that, so you don't want to miss any of that. That's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.